So now I'd like to introduce Barney Coffman, who's doing our sermon today. Comes all the way down from Oakhurst, so come on up and speak to us, please, Barney. Yes, sermon time. Haven't seen him in a while.
Goodness. I feel like a one-dog ponying show or something like that. Yeah. So, I'm going to start off by giving some apologies. I'll just move it back here.
Okay, good.
Sorry. Well, it's just, okay.
Nope. Okay.
Maybe. That's fine. Thanks. So, in a little connect, or all my talks kind of seem to blend one into another. I had a real good talk working on for last month, and then I just woke up and had to call and let Rachel know I couldn't make it. I was just all stuffed up. And the month before that, I must apologize because it was a little weak. Cindy, who was Loy's sister-in-law, came up and spent the week with me before there visiting, and she was on vacation, so very much on the go, you know. Oh, well, today let's go hit Chuck Chansey, and then, you know, after Chuck Chansey, the next day we'll go up to Yosemite, and on and on and on. So I wasn't able to really work on my talk. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. So you're going to get a little bit of a refresher today. So yeah, I wanted to apologize for being sick, and a couple of months back, her talk. My main point that I was trying to make 2 months back with the masks that we get and blocking and how we hold our feelings and things that come in our life and upset us, how we hold those in our chakra area, in our third chakra, and it interrupts the flow of the energy. See, if we get upset and uptight, we develop that false identity that we will throw out to people and cover up. And by having this blockage, we can't let the energy flow up and down. If we can't let the energy flow up and down, then how can we really become awake and be ready, which was last month's theme. So spiritual side blocks us from our awakening to the truth of who we are, how we need to live, and be here on this plane of existence. So the going with the flow theme of my talk, flowing through our bodies and removing the mask we wear, which covers our true selves, blocks that flow, even though I make reference to the aspect of that flow as energy. What is it really? We know it is God, the divine, the higher power, Allah, Buddha, Christ, etc. It's all the consciousness. And like Shakespeare said in Romeo and Juliet, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So, let me get my point here. So that went into, like I said, the awakening of my talk that I didn't get to give last month, called Don't Hit the Snooze Button. So that we're going to be awake. So various spiritual beliefs or religions, now and in the past, they feel and teach that we are in a dream state and need to awaken in order to experience our true spirituality. When this happens, we reach that point of our true enlightenment. Most well known is the Buddhism, of course. Well, But other religions on their mystic side make reference to awakening. Taoism makes significant references in their lessons on awakening. And they refer to the Tao dragon, which is also known as the Kundalini dragon, which lays at the root of our chakra, around our pelvic area, where it builds the energy. And when we clear out the chakras in our spine, that energy from earth can go clear through our chakras up to our crown chakra and out through our transpersonal chakra, connecting our earthly plane with the spiritual plane. And even A Course in Miracles refers to awakening. And the Bible has like 24 different references in it to being awake. I cut it out to shorten the speech, but the one that's probably one of the most popular is the one that's in Mark, Matthew, and Luke, about towards the end, just before the guards came and arrested Jesus. And they were in the Garden of Gethsemane, and it was early in the morning. Jesus knew, being the spiritual consciousness that he had, he knew what was coming up. He can read what's going on in the electronic energy of the universe. So he wanted to go pray. So he asked a couple of his apostles to come with him. And he said, okay, wait here while I go pray. And so he prayed for a few hours, and then he comes back. They were asleep. And he kind of like read them the riot act, about, well, a little bit, What do you mean you can't even stay awake and pray with me out here? So in this hour, he goes on in the part about how, this is my hour and all that. So the one I did keep in is from Mark about being awake. But about that day or hour no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Be aware, keep alert, for you do not know when the time will come. It is like a man going on a journey, when he leaves home and puts his slaves in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to be on the watch. Therefore keep awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will call, in the evening, or at midnight, or at cockcrow, or at dawn, or else he may find you asleep when he comes suddenly. And what I say to you, I say to all, keep awake. We don't always know when we'll have that touch of enlightenment. There's a book called Zen and the Brain, and a psychologist talks about he was doing a walk just in the subway in New York, when all of a sudden he just kind of stopped and went into a kind of a trance mode and got zapped with that energy feeling that I and the universe are one. We say that in church a lot here, and we know that, and we can tell ourselves, I am one with the universe, and I am one. But when it really happens and you get that feeling from while you're being in meditation or you're praying, it's almost an indescribable feeling. Perhaps you've had it. I know I've had it on rare occasions. It's a rush feeling. You feel expanded into the universe, and you realize your insignificance being in the body. So if you are awake, working on living that spiritual consciousness, that enlightened feeling, joy, happiness, and a smile will radiate from you. You can't help but be nice. And that's true being here, or that's what being here is all about. It has two meanings. It's being here in the moment. We don't want to live in the past. We don't want to think about the future, because then we miss out on what's going on right now. You know, that's plenty of books out there to read on being here. Eckhart Tolle, right? The Power of Now. But to be here, the second meaning is to be here on earth. So we know we're spiritual beings and we're living this earthly existence. Even, it's not said in the Bible, but in the Gospel of Thomas that was found at Nag Hammadi, where Jesus talks about this suit I wear, this fleshly suit. Forgot to look that one up, give you better. You might have heard of that one too. But even Jesus knew that our bodies are just containers that we express through. The Buddhists, they spend a lot of time in their meditation on the suffering that goes on in humanity. That's one of the reasons they're here. That's the way they express their service to humanity, is all the time they meditate. Their primary goal is to alleviate the suffering around the world in humanity. Deepak Chopra, in his book, The 7 Laws of Spiritual Success, covers in a chapter about how being in service is a spiritual success story, or one of the ways you attain spiritual success. So that's the reason for being here on earth, to be of service to each other. I put in here, now another trip through my Wayback Machine, for those of you who know Mr. Peabody and Sherman. I didn't think anybody would miss that one. Anyway, several months back, I talked about Loy and my relationship with her. That was a service that she and I did for each other. In retrospect, it's easy to look back and say, hey, we were servicing each other. I did something for her, she did something for me, right? But it doesn't have to be that humongous. It doesn't have to be service to just, your companion. It can be anything like meeting someone on the street and giving them that smile with a friendly hello. Somebody with a frown on their face or a blank, complacent stare, if you just say, hello, how are you today? In a pleasant manner, you might just turn that person's world around. If they're got their head into a thought or a trouble, you might be able to just lift them up. And if they're grumpy, some people just, it's too bad, it's going to take a lot of friendly hellos to get them to cheer up. Some people, even they want to live in that grumpy stage. Just shrug it off. Be like the monk, the two monks that were out on a trek through the country. Their sect, their belief was they couldn't touch women. They weren't even supposed to talk to him, right? So they came to a river, and here's this woman standing on the shore, and she wants to get to the other side. Well, the older monk gives her a piggyback ride across the river. So that night in the campfire, the younger monk was just all taken back. This really bothered him. You know, he said, "Father, how come you touch that woman? We're not supposed to touch women or speak to them, yet you carried her across that river." And the older monk said, "Yes, I carried her across the river and I put her down. It seems to me you still carry her." So that's what we do sometimes. We carry things with us. We carry, somebody is rude to us, you know, they cut in front of us, they're just, rude. Did I say rude? So anyway, and what do? We dwell on that. I did that very same thing last week at work. I had a woman that, as far as I could tell, she's unhappy that her baby was born with a birth defect. So, and the baby is dependent on a ventilator. So I went in there to do what's called our vent check, where we write the numbers and do an assessment. And the mother immediately started accusing me of making changes to the ventilator. I said I didn't change anything on the ventilator. Anyway, it went on and on. And she wound up, "I want to talk to your charge," you know, who is. So I wound up, we call it being fired, when the mothers don't like the nurse or the respiratory therapist, they will complain about it and get the assignment switched, and that's what this mother did. And so, and for 3 days, this was like, I was like, good thing I take blood pressure medicine, you know? I mean, I couldn't lay her down. I couldn't set her down at that bank of the river and just move on with my life. It's tough. It's a struggle. But maybe by reminding you, we can all work on it, right? Another thing, I got here a little comment that you also wind up making a mask. So I wound up making a mask with this woman and stuffing it right here, blocking my spiritual energy flowing through mine. So I wasn't at peace because of this woman's upsetting me. So shrug it off. Start breaking that cycle. Any type of negative situation, person, you can just silently bless, forgive, and release them or it, this being the situation. See, because we're all connected in that one mind, the energy of the mind that flows through the universe, we don't have to say it verbally to somebody. All we have to do is think it. Thoughts, energy flows where thoughts go. So you can think in the past, or somebody that upset you in the past, you can think, I forgive them, I forgive myself, and release it and move on. See, if you forgive somebody, you have just created a miracle. This is from the teachings of A Course in Miracles. They say when you forgive somebody, you are creating a miracle. It says a miracle is a service. It is the maximal service you can render to another. It is a way of loving your neighbor as yourself. You recognize your own and your neighbor's worth simultaneously. So it's like that law of cause and effect. What goes around comes around. If you're going to forgive somebody, that's kind of showing them a little bit of love, right? So you're going to get that love back. It's all reciprocal. Everything's connected. Talks that I did years ago can just come back around and be referenced again in next month's talk, maybe. Who knows? So here's something I copied out of the Course in Miracles. Child of peace, the light has come to you. The light you bring, you do not recognize, and yet you will remember. Who can deny himself the vision that he brings to others? And who would fail to recognize a gift he let be laid in heaven through himself? The gentle service that you give the Holy Spirit is service to yourself. You who are now his means must love all that he loves. And what you bring is your remembrance of everything that is eternal. No trace of anything in time can long remain in a mind that serves the timeless. And no illusion can disturb the peace of a relationship that has become the means to peace. Bless you. Go out there and bless others and try to live in a state of forgiveness. Bless you.